Mayor Pop, State Secretary Nussbaum, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. So this conference is about innovation, and it happens in Berlin. And that's a perfect location. Not just that Berlin ranks very positively in the startup. It does not exactly rank very early in the way how you build an airport. But on average, it's all good. So Siemens, that's the company I work for, has been founded 172 years ago here in Berlin. 1847, we were two men in their 30s. Werner Siemens was not a Werner von Siemens, it was a Werner Siemens at that time. So it's common that people change their names in Siemens over time. And Mr. Johann Georg Halske were the two persons who were founding the startup Siemens. I was in the backyard, here just around the corner, at a time where there were no garages in the Silicon Valley yet. So if we talk about innovation, if we talk about startup, we know how to do this, and this is important. Werner von Siemens' groundbreaking innovation actually has been the pointer telegraph. That's how it all started. And 70 years ago, it was, so to speak, the first smartphone. Just 1 year later, in 1848, a young company won a government contract to build Prussia's first electric telegraph, long-distance line from Berlin to Frankfurt. That was a breakthrough. And obviously, in the decades to come, Siemens basically evolved into a global company. It has really changed since then. It changed a lot. It really did. But if you look at Berlin today, the average age of a startup founder in Berlin is 35 years old. So nearly 84% of them are male. Well, there's some progress, at least to 1847, but still, most founders team up. So that's important, collaborative environment. And today, nearly 3 out of 4 founders would start all over again if they fail for the first place. That's relevant because starting up is also meaning you try it again, you get up if you're down on your knees, and then eventually it works. Werner von Siemens even went to jail, but he came back big. So you can see Siemens and Berlin belongs together. Berlin is the city in Germany today that stands for innovation and entrepreneurial spirit. Very clear. Nearly 17% of the country's Germany's startups, are located and founded here in Berlin. That's also been one of the reasons Siemens decided just about shy of 1 year that we are going to build a new Siemens campus here in the city. Going to invest more than 600 million euros to build what we call Siemens Stadt 2.0, a reinvention of how we work, where people work together, where they eat together, they live together, innovate together, being a campus, which is going to be a socio-economic integration of society as well as information. And that's really important. You will see more, if you like to, when my colleague Cedric Nike will host the event called Corporates Meets Startups at Building 32 of Siemensstadt on May 16. So please come over. It's really going to pay. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, that was the advertising block. Not even fake news, it's all true. And it's all good. But I'm not here only today as the Chief Entertainment Officer of Siemens. That's what the CEO, I think that's what it is. But I'm also here today as the chairman of the Association for the Asia Pacific Committee of German Businesses. That's important. What I want to talk to you about today is collaboration, cooperation, because that's the single most important element, besides the money, for startups. In a network environment as we are today, there is no way that we are going to invent something meaningful, back in our own cubicle and not having to share it with anybody else. Collaboration is today the lifeblood and the prerequisite of innovation. And that collaboration we also need when we work together in a globally networked world. And when I talk the world today, this is about Europe, Germany, and Asia Pacific. 1993, exports from Germany to Asia amounted about 40 billion euros. That's not that too long ago, 1993. Today, it's 220 billion euros. Asia's GDP has more than tripled since the 90s, and hundreds of million people have been moved out of poverty. Asia Pacific is that region, which is the region of tomorrow. There's no doubt about this one. Nothing is going to change that. Nobody does. Not a tweet, no nationalism, no populism. It's only a matter of time. But the question will be, how are we going to work together? Collaborate in a globally networked world. And that's not going to be by nationalism and protectionism. This is about working together, tearing down physical walls, tearing down intellectual walls, and spiritual ones all together. It's really, really relevant that we build trust and cooperation also for global trade. And it's relevant to understand what the root cause is if there is a trade deficit. Is it going to be unfair trade? Then it needs to be addressed. If it's going to be the lack of competitiveness, well, there is going to be a different tool to address it. And that's innovation, productivity, and such good stuff, which we abundantly know how to do this in Germany and in Berlin. But ladies and gentlemen, cooperation, trust, collaboration needs to be mutual. And we call that, it needs to be reciprocal. Or in other words, what we are allowed to do in foreign countries, in foreign societies, those countries and those societies need to be allowed to also in the European environment. Level playing field. May the best teams win. And that's why this is so important, that we're going to build that collaboration together. And startups typically, as the name says, they start it up so they can build it from scratch. In a nutshell, we need to make sure that you're building bridges between Asia and Europe preferably, but in absence of a foreign economic policy, that we build the bridges between Asia and Germany. In a nutshell, make sure that businesses serve society and create a level playing field so that we can win if we have good ideas. And all the countries, the big ones at least in Asia, they do have a plan. They do have a plan. They have national strategies. China calls it Made in China 2025. India is implementing Make in India. And this is not about making accounting better or more creative in India. It is about production. It is about manufacturing. Because 70% of the global trade is still manufacturing. And we will be manufacturing as we go forward. It's going to be different. It's going to be more effective. It's going to be much better, making product much cheaper and more reliable through digitalization of the manufacturing process. But ladies and gentlemen, the world will still have hardware and molecules. They're not going to go away. They will be looking different, but they stay. If you look at Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines, we heard that very impressively, they all have a plan. National programs because they want to create a better life for their people, and rightfully so. And this is relevant. And the message is very clear. Aside from providing jobs, paying taxes, and complying with the law, foreign companies are expected to create local value and invest into local communities. For example, by building factories, by building innovation centers anywhere in the world, and therefore providing training, education, and fostering innovation. So they all have a plan. Do we? In Germany? Well, the United States has a plan. They have tweets. On top of it, of course. And Germany has a massive debate about whether or not we need a plan, whether or not everybody is invited, whether somebody is a bit short or somebody is a bit long. Ladies and gentlemen, Germany and Europe needs a plan, and if Europe doesn't get it done, we in Germany need a plan B. So it's very, very important that we come up with an industrial policy. It is not about the big companies, because we have a plan already. We are working in 200 countries in the world. So we do have a plan, because we have more to lose than an election. We have a plan. But it's important that our people, our society, have a perspective for the future, especially if a country like us lives and dies on export, or the ability to continue to build on our export model. So whether or not we need a plan, and that's an industrial plan, because this is really relevant. And we need to agree to the principle of reciprocity, to level playing fields. That's a key topic for igniting global trade, free trade, and a fair trade economy, which Germany is so much dependent on. And we can have a lot which we can bring to the party. Germany is a very strong country, despite everything which, we keep debating or questioning. A very, very strong country. The World Economic Forum, even though it's not even us, the World Economic Forum in Switzerland thinks Germany to be the most innovative economy and still is. And thanks to all the committees of the German businesses, DIHK, it's interesting to use German abbreviations in English, so it sounds a bit weird, but we all know what we have. We have those associations which can build the bridges and create extensive systems. Many German companies have done business in Asia for decades or even for centuries. So we can provide millions of people with very, very well-paid and qualitative jobs. So we know how it works. We can work together. We need to work together. So therefore, dear guests from Asia, dear friends, on behalf of the Asia-Pacific Committee of German Businesses, I warmly do welcome you to Germany, to Berlin, and to participating in building things together within Germany and the Asia-Pacific, between Europe, between our companies, and create exactly that playing field, create exactly that social economic environment where we can take even more people out of poverty, where we show our people a future, be it in the environmental space, in the industrial space, and make sure that they stay where they are, because home is where the heart is. And ladies and gentlemen, for Siemens, home is where Berlin is. Thank you very much.